one of the things that in 1790, when the French Revolution, the scholar was saying that the French Revolution was going to happen, and in 1793 it did. Bastille collapsed, the whole thing, and they said that, but because of the training of the students that were being taught this ideology of bloodthirst. We have, if you go back to Roman times, we had gladiators, we had coliseums, whole entire industry for the death and destruction of individuals for the sheer pleasure of
Right.
other people. And the thing is that if you look at what Christ did, he was so revolutionary, and his speech was what they, would reference that's what got him killed. Well, the same thing, and this is what Charlie followed in those same footsteps, where he was a very big advocate. Because one of the things that was really interesting is that Charlie was, when people would say, well, the Jews need to be Christians and because of Christ, and he goes, whoa, hold on, wait. Hold on. You think that the New Testament is greater than the Old Testament, the Torah?
Mm-hmm.
Is Genesis 1:1 now less significant because of his life? He goes, you have to know both Old and New Testament. We just believe that Christ is a Messiah, but I got news for you. A Messiah is coming for both Jews and Christians, and it happens to be the same God. And that's the thing that was different, that he always, maintained and said. The Jews are not a lesser, which is what most of the time, and that's what happened in 1933. It became that they were a lesser human being. Well,
Yeah.
So when you look at somebody lesser, then this is the ideology that happens.
We were shown as rats. We were shown
Correct.
as animals.
And they've done the same thing.
Does the word irredeemable mean anything to you? Irredeemable? That's how we were classified both by Hillary and by Hitler. Isn't that interesting? And one other interesting thing is that the Jews built the Colosseum. The Jews, they're Jewish slaves.
Yep.
After the Romans made them go throughout the world to live with
and one of the other things too that people need to understand, in 1903, when Rockefeller started taking over the medical schools, he started taking over all of the schools and everything else. He made the statement, I want somebody educated well enough to be told what to do, but not that they will question why. And that's the problem. They would have had such an easier time if they would have let our generation pass away, because we're the last generation that was taught you question everything, you re-verify everything, and you make sure that it's the truth. And people just think that propaganda, that just because I said it, or if I yell louder than you, I'm right.
Yeah. And you have teachers who maybe in their cases, some of them were just indoctrinated, just like they're indoctrinating their students. But you would think with the modern ability to get easy arguments both ways, you would think that they would have read some of this stuff and stopped doing the wrong thing. Some of them just ignored the other side and decided that they were right and you're wrong and you have to be eliminated.
Well, that's part of that silo that that so many of us, and I mean, we all do it inadvertently sometimes, is you put yourself in a silo and you're only talking to people who amplify your own opinion.
Right.
Well, Charlie didn't do that. He wanted to hear other people's opinions and why they thought that way.
He invited them. Anyone disagree with me? I want you in the front row.
Yes. And then
Yeah.
countered it with historical fact and said, okay, I understand you think this way, but consider this instead. And he always did it respectfully. And that's what's missing, because not only do we have youngsters in college that are screaming, but their teachers are screaming. And so everybody's in their own little echo chamber.
Yeah.
And this is what needs to stop, because you go to college to get out of an echo chamber, so that what you learned in school and at home is expanded.
This is an ancient problem. How do we stop it? It's a historic way. I think Socrates got killed because he just wanted to talk to people and ask them questions. I just heard that today.
Mhm.
Got killed because of that. So how do we stop this?
Well, you
Is
do
there
the
another
very
war
thing.
involved? Is it? They're not going to listen to us.
Well, you do the very thing that Charlie did.
Yeah.
You go out and you talk to people, and you have to be able to allow somebody the opportunity to speak. Most people want to be heard.
Yeah.
And the thing is that to carry on a conversation or a debate, one has to close their mouth and open the two ears. If you listen twice as much as you speak, you'll be a wise person. And that's what Charlie was doing. He was literally listening to what the people were saying, these students that were saying, and then he would then give them blatant truth that would contradict what they thought their ideology was. And when most of the time when people would walk away, they were altered and changed, and that's what made him so dangerous.
And most in the audience would, except for some.
Mhm.
Right.
And he was a threat to politicians and to professors.
Well, I think they made a
Right.
big mistake in thinking that they could shut him down. And I really do think that everything he did is going to be amplified.
Yeah.
Well,
Chris,
the other thing
go
that
ahead.
we need to look at too is the fact that if we take what he did, the example, and the great thing about it is the young Republicans here in Arizona made an announcement, and they're taking the challenge. They want to replace Charlie. They want to go out and start talking on
Yeah.
their campuses
Exactly.
and the high schools and stuff, which is again not what the left want. But more importantly, here's another change that's taking place. The speech, and my wife alluded to this earlier, the speech that you use, First Amendment, has consequences, and people are now getting fired for them celebrating his assassination.